One NBA star got their nickname from a spirit animal. Another created their nickname to avoid off-the-court problems. This is how NBA players got their nicknames. And it's only right we start with the man, the legend, LeBron James. A man commonly referred to as King James. Don't get me wrong, the nickname seems pretty basic, but the reasoning is not. Because while LeBron was playing high school ball for St. Vincent, St. Mary High School, not everyone was a fan. See, at that time, LeBron was only the East Coast king among high schoolers. After all, he still had to face the king of the West, Trevor Ariza from LA Westchester. Only right before their highly anticipated matchup in 2003, one skeptic had some harsh words for the 18-year-old LeBron James. "I don't know why LeBron James gets all this publicity," Ariza's uncle states. "My nephew Trevor Ariza is better than he is." Dang, bro was out for blood. And you know that LeBron wasn't about to have any of it. So what'd my man do? He dropped 52 points on Ariza's head, compared to Ariza's measly 12 points. It was on this day that a king was officially born. But now it's time to transition from one legend in King James to another legend in Kevin Durant. As throughout his career, Durant has had a slew of nicknames. This includes Durantula, thanks to all the tools and methods he discovered to score, as well as his initials, KD, Slim Reaper, and Easy Money Sniper on Instagram. Although my personal favorite KD nickname is none other than The Snake, because on July 7th, 2016, KD dropped a bombshell. He was leaving OKC Thunder, the team he played 9 seasons with, to play with Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors.
Not even really looking at KD, understanding he's ahead. Look.
A team that was coming off the greatest regular season ever after winning 73 games the season prior. However, it's much better to be called a snake than to live in the shadows of an NBA legend. Because at 6'5" and 210 pounds, there was one player fans couldn't help but compare Harold Miner to: Michael Jordan. So much so, they nicknamed him Baby Jordan due to his high-flying act, clutch shots, and similar shoe taste. That said, MJ was having none of it. So on December 30th, 1992, he ended the comparisons once and for all. In a 105-100 win against the Miami Heat, Jordan scored 39 points on 9 of 18 shooting, whereas Miner, on the other hand, only had 10 points on 5 of 14 shooting, shattering his confidence. And ever since this game, Miner was never the same player again. But now it's not Baby Jordan, it's the baby-faced assassin, Stephen Curry. A nickname which he earned during his college days at Davidson, where he dominated the game with his ball movement, threes, and of course, killer instinct, all while appearing younger than everyone else. That said, there's one moment in particular when this nickname became engraved in the history books. As of 11 years ago, the 10-seeded Davidson faced the 7-seeded Gonzaga, when all of a sudden, Curry decided to go unconscious, scoring 40 points on 22 shots, including 30 in the second half to pull off the upset. Even before he entered the NBA, fans knew this kid was special.
Then he shoots right over the top of threes.
And speaking of which, so is Curry's teammate, Klay Thompson. Although his nickname, that's sus at best. You see, in 2011, Thompson was a leader of the Washington State basketball team. A role which required a lot of responsibility, especially since campus safety is always watching you. Because one time, Klay Thompson was driving his SUV when an officer pulled him over for a broken headlight. However, that wasn't the only thing they noticed, as shortly after, they also discovered a bag of marijuana in his car, earning Thompson the nickname Big Smokey. Which brings us to a player who has a nickname years in the making, Joel Embiid. Because in 2014, the 76ers drafted Joel Embiid out of the University of Kansas. And despite the fact he was unable to play for the next 2 years after being drafted, Embiid had a plan for himself and his team. As when he made his NBA debut, he began to use the hashtag #TrustTheProcess to refer to the last 2 years of his life and the last 2 seasons of Philly, indicating that the plan he had for himself and his team would work out. Since then, he's adopted the nickname The Process, with many believing that the process will be complete when Joel leads the Sixers to an NBA championship. But imagine getting a nickname that has nothing to do with your basketball career. Instead, it has everything to do with Kyrie Irving's acting career. Because in 2012, Kyrie Irving took a Pepsi commercial and it turned into a full-length film in what has to be the most impressive marketing campaign in recent years. The advertisement featured Irving as a character named Uncle Drew, who dressed up as an old man who went to street parks and defied young ballers. And it turns out it was a success. So much so that both sides decided to take it to the next level and turn it into a web series, and later, a film starring Shaquille O'Neal and Chris Webber, among others. To some, Kyrie Irving will be known as a perennial NBA All-Star. To others, he'll be known as a flat earther, but to me, he'll forever be known as Uncle Drew. However, now it's time to take off your wig and get popcorn ready, because this next nickname isn't your typical nickname. It was earned using magic. As 1 second Jeremy Lin is in the D-League, the next he's averaging 6 minutes of NBA action. And then, before fans knew it, he was playing 36 minutes and lighting the NBA world on fire. Cause in February 2012, Lin got his chance after the Knicks lost 11 out of their 13 games and never looked back, leading the Knicks to 7 straight wins, while averaging 22.3 points and 9 assists. The most impressive performance of which? A 38-point outburst against the Kobe Bryant-led Los Angeles Lakers.
Percentage. Lin will shoot again. Knocks it down. A two-pointer for Jeremy Lin.
For a month straight, Lin's sanity wasn't the subject of a comeback story, but he was the face of the league. Sheesh, my G got a lot more than his 15 minutes of fame. And speaking of Kobe Bryant, his nickname's also unique because it doesn't come from fans. The nickname chose him. Widely known as the Black Mamba, the nickname was an alter ego he created to help him get through a difficult period in his career. Bryant revealed in his auto-documentary Muse that he created the Black Mamba to help deal with his off-court problems in 2003 and 2004. After all, in 2003, Kobe was charged with sexually assaulting a 19-year-old woman in Colorado, an event that nearly broke up his entire family. I went from being at the top of my game, having everything coming, to having absolutely no idea where life is going, or if you're even going to be a part of life as we all know it a year later, Bryant said in the documentary. Dang, bro just turned his entire life around with a single nickname. That said, Andre Drummond wasn't so serious about his nickname, since one time Drummond revealed his favorite animal was a penguin. And the rest was history. Because afterward, his teammate Greg Monroe once asked Drummond what his favorite movies were, to which Drummond replied, Happy Feet, March of the Penguins, and Happy Feet 2. So you already know his teammates had no choice but to nickname him Big Penguin. A nickname Andre hasn't just embraced, because now he even has his own line of Stance socks featuring his favorite animal. But do you even know what's more puzzling than penguin socks? Kawhi Leonard's nickname, the Claw. Because if there are two things we know for sure about Leonard, it's this. He's a great defender, and his 11.75-inch hands are absolutely massive. And the same can be said about Gary Payton, who is nicknamed the Glove thanks to his large hands and spectacular defense. So fans, if Peyton was nicknamed the Glove, then it's only fitting that Leonard gets a similar nickname. A nickname that was in the works up until the 2014 NBA Finals, when Kawhi's defense against LeBron James helped lead the Spurs to an NBA championship, and most importantly, prevent the Heat from a three-peat. It was then that Kawhi Leonard became known as the Claw. Although, now it's time to get serious again. As in the summer of 2014, Paul George was playing for Team USA, when life flashed right before his eyes. Because in the snap of the fingers, George went from being at the top of his game to sustaining a compound fracture on both bones in his lower right leg, an injury that sidelined him for almost a full season. So when George returned in 2015, fans didn't know what to expect. That said, George was ready to prove the doubters wrong. And it all started with a new jersey number, thanks to the idea of NBA writer Bill Simmons, who suggested that George wear the number 13 for his comeback, so that he could be known as PG-13, and jinx any future injuries. Pretty witty and genius if you ask me. Unlike Evan Fournier's name, because his name is so bad, they made a nickname out of it. Never Google. In other words, you don't want to Google what his last name Fournier is associated with. And in case you are curious, I'll put an end to this madness. It means you should subscribe to the channel. Okay, but seriously, you don't want to learn what this name actually means. After all, it has something to do with old men, gangrene, and believe it or not, genitals. See, I tried to warn ya. But for the rare chance you do want to learn the whole meaning, I got another idea. Watch one of my other videos on the screen, and trust me, if you do, you'll forget all about Never Google. So what are you waiting for? I'll see you there.